You're a family and you're thinking about taking a cruise, but you don't know which cruise line is going to be right for you. This is what this episode is going to be all about. We're going to break down the differences between Royal Caribbean Cruise Line and Disney Cruise Line, two of the most popular cruises that you can take when you are traveling as a family at sea. So stay tuned for all the details. You've probably had friends who have sailed on Royal Caribbean. You've probably had friends that have sailed on Disney Cruise Line, and you're thinking, how do I know which is the right option for me, for my family, and for all the things that we want to do? Hopefully this is going to answer a few of your questions and give you some more insights and some of the key differences between these different cruise lines that maybe don't get talked about enough. I have sailed on both Royal Caribbean and on Disney Cruise Line, and so this is truly my perspective, as in the last year and a half, I've done both sailings, both in the Caribbean specifically. Now, yes, if you're looking to go to the Caribbean or the Bahamas, even Alaska or Europe, you're going to have options both with Disney and with Royal Caribbean. So keep in mind, you want to choose an itinerary that is really going to hit those ports and those places that you want to visit first and foremost. That's going to be a really important part of your trip. But as you think about breaking down a specific location and time of the year, you're likely going to find many different choices between both Disney and Royal for your sailing of choice. All right, what is the same about each of these? First off, you're going to have them sailing to very similar destinations, and also you're going to have a very family-focused environment when it comes to activities, entertainment, and the way that these ships have been constructed. That may be the only thing that is really consistent with both of these providers. Royal Caribbean is known for having mega ships in its fleet, especially as you look at the Icon class series. Icon of the Seas and even the new Star of the Seas are known to be cities on the sea. And that is because they can fit up to 7,600 passengers at any given time. That means that you are sailing not only with a lot of people, but with a lot of space and also a lot of things to do. These are going to be bustling ships. There's going to be a lot of activities, from sports to entertainment, to shows, to dining options. And because of all of those different options and choices, there's going to be something for everyone. I will say, when it comes to the Royal Caribbean Icon class ships, you are not going to have a bad time when it comes to looking for thrills at sea. There are lots of adventures you can have, whether it's zip lining, whether it's rock climbing, seeing different shows like ice skating on board, or the Aqua Series shows where you can see divers and performers jumping into pools right in the very back of your ship. This is definitely going to feel like a city at sea, where there's always something to do, there is always some party to visit, and there's always some entertainment to enjoy. Now, let's talk about Disney ships. Disney does not have 29 ships in its fleet like Royal Caribbean, but they are constantly expanding in their new ships. And as you can tell lately, they are focusing on theming over everything. The Disney ships are going to be smaller in size, which means you're not going to be sailing with 7,600 people. You're going to be sailing with under 4,000 people on most of the ships in Disney's fleet. So as a result, it'll be a little quieter. You're not going to feel like you're in a city on a sea. You will feel like you're at a resort at sea, but it will definitely feel a little more intimate and a little less noisy, simply because you're operating with almost half the number of guests that you would have on Royal Caribbean. Disney is definitely focused on theming of their ships. Because they are smaller in size and because they are Disney owned, you will, guessed it, they will have a lot of Disney character theming around these ships. For example, the Disney Wish, which has been around for a few years now, is themed to all the things wishing and imagination. And as a result, you'll see fine artwork all throughout the ship that pulled from the Disney archives, showing different animation styles and art from the classic films of Disney. You're also going to find kids spaces that are themed to Disney, with things like Star Wars areas, Marvel Academy, and a lot more. So again, the theming is really going to be tied to all of the IPs that Disney supports, and still going to give you some of those character elements and fine dining entertainment options that you find at the Disney parks or in the resorts. The difference is it's in a much more small, contained environment on a ship at sea. So think of it more as the Disney bubble that you get when you're at Disney World, but on a ship with a lot less people. That's going to be kind of the energy and the vibe that you're getting there. All right, so what are some of the big differences? One of the things that I don't think gets talked about enough are the cabin or stateroom options across Royal Caribbean versus Disney. Royal Caribbean's ships have truly been built with couples in mind. These ships, for the most part, are going to fit 2 to sometimes 4 people, and depending on the stateroom or the cabin category that you have, you can get an inside, an ocean view, a balcony, and the balcony can face the inside, where we have some of the ships that have a central park area or a boardwalk, or it could face an ocean view balcony, obviously looking out at sea. There are going to be a lot of different categories at Royal Caribbean because, again, these are massive ships that can fit a lot more people. However, What Disney does very well with their ship design is that these rooms are made for families in mind. Obviously, they're expecting that most of the ship's rooms are going to contain up to 4 people. There's a lot of connecting room options at Disney, so if you have larger families, you can easily find connecting cabins, and you're going to still see inside ocean view and ocean view balcony rooms, as well as suites and whatnot. The biggest difference in these Disney rooms, or Disney cabins, I should say, is that they have a split bathroom in a lot of their categories, which means you will have 2 different bathrooms to be able to get ready in for your family. This can be a game changer if you're trying to do a lot of different things at one time in the morning, or at the end of the day when you've got one person who wants to shower and someone else who needs to use the restroom. You can do all of that with the split bathroom design. So there are just elements like that that have been built into how they've designed their staterooms that really do cater to families. All right, we talked about staterooms. We talked about entertainment. One of the other factors that makes a big difference in a sailing with Royal Caribbean versus Disney is what you have on board and what you do not have on board. Let's talk about the differences in dining on Disney Cruise Line versus Royal Caribbean Cruise Line. Royal Caribbean has a traditional style main dining room that you will go to for your dining time. You can select a predetermined dining time depending on your sailing, or you can do my time dining where you're able to choose and make reservations as you go for different times of the day that you may want to eat at dinner during the main dining hours. It will be the same location each night in the main dining room, and that is included in your fare. However, Royal Caribbean will offer a plethora of signature dining options that you can add on for an extra cost that is not included in your cruise to be able to dine at different restaurants, maybe places that specialize in sushi or places that specialize in Italian meals and different wine experiences. There's a lot that you can add on to your trip with Royal Caribbean if you choose to dine somewhere other than the main dining room each night of your sailing. What is unique about Disney is that they have rotational dining. Rotational dining means that there are likely 3 to 4 dining options on your ship. And what that means is when you get on board, you will find out your rotation. So each night you will go to a different restaurant on board for your dinner. They're usually themed to different things like Tiana's Palace or Arendelle or 1923, where you can, experience some of the classic Roy and Walt Disney memorabilia that will be in there. But each of these locations that you move to for your set dining time, your servers will move with you as well. So just like in a main dining experience in Royal Caribbean, you have the same server every night. In Disney Cruise Line, you will have that server team going with you from room to room each night of your trip, and that way you have a different location to eat in each night, you have a different experience to enjoy, and they will have maybe 1 or 2 signature dining options that are usually for adults only, like Paolo or Remy or Enchanté, and those are locations that you can add a special dining option for an added cost. But Disney is really counting on you enjoying this rotational dining, going to different rooms, different environments, and experiencing different cuisine and entertainment. Whereas Royal Caribbean is giving you one main dining room location and hoping that you're going to take advantage of all of the other signature dining locations by adding each of those on to your stay. So that's one of the biggest differences when it comes to dining in the main dinner portion of your trip. One of the things that I noticed as being a huge difference for me personally when we were sailing on Royal Caribbean and Disney in the last, 36 months, is that at Royal Caribbean, obviously there is a massive buffet area. There is always going to be a buffet on a ship. You can't miss it. It's a great place to get breakfast. It's a very popular place to get lunch. And usually they're also open during dinner times as well if you don't want to sit down in main dining. On Royal Caribbean, I was so overwhelmed with all of the options in terms of food at the buffet. But what I will say is it didn't feel super sanitary to me. And I say that because it was all open buffet style, like what you normally get at a buffet, people using the same utensils, reaching for their own silverware. And so there was just a lot of opportunity for cross-contamination to happen. Now, I say this with a little bit of a pause. They do ask that you're washing your hands, and they will make you stop and wash your hands before you go into the buffet area. But to me, it just felt like a typical buffet experience, which sometimes for me doesn't feel like the best. On Disney, I was really surprised to see that they had it all behind glass. So, was a buffet set up around this entire area. Marceline Market was the one that we were on the Disney Wish. And instead of you reaching in and grabbing the food that you want, or you reaching for a stack of silverware and getting out your own fork, the silverware was already rolled in cloth napkins on the tables for you. They were being refreshed regularly. Every time someone got up, they would be putting down new cutlery for you. So you weren't having to reach in and do that. And when you were going around from station to station, they would serve the plate cafeteria style and give it to you that way. So you just had a lot less hands in the food. And so for me, I just really appreciated that detail. And that is something that I never really heard people talk about when discussing the buffet options on cruises. So those are my opinions on that one. Next, let's talk about entertainment. Disney is known for great entertainment, right? We've got parks, we've got movies, we've got musical theater. So they're going to bring all of the best of that to their ships. You will have dining entertainment in certain locations like Arendelle or Worlds of Marvel, where it's an interactive film style entertainment while you're eating, but they're also going to have Broadway shows. They're going to have shows like The Lion King. They're going to have shows like Hercules on a lot of their ships. You will have options after dinner to go and explore some of those beautiful venues where they have live productions. Now, Royal Caribbean takes this up to a whole new level. They will have what they call Broadway style shows. These are not going to be shows that you see on Broadway because they don't have the rights to do those on those ships, but they will be song, dance, themed, and you will have a lot of those in the traditional theater environment like you do on Disney. What you will also get are things like ice skating shows. You're going to get things like the Aqua Series shows, which are absolutely incredible. They usually happen on the back of some of the larger, newer ships, diving performers, dancers, aerial artists. There's going to be more of a thrill component to the entertainment that you get on Royal Caribbean. This is going to be a big theme when you're thinking about Royal Caribbean versus Disney. Royal Caribbean is really going after the thrill seeker, someone who loves those exciting, adventurous types of experiences. So that's going to play through in some of the onboard activities and the onboard entertainment. So those will be some of the biggest differences that you have between the two when it comes to entertainment on board. Also keep in mind, you're going to have a ton of entertainment options on both different cruise lines, because there's going to be things like bingo. There's going to be things like comedy nights or trivia. Trivia is a big one on Disney. Royal Caribbean, they have things like adult-only comedy shows that happen at certain hours. So there's going to be a lot of different impromptu things that you can go and explore that don't necessarily require reservations, but they are going to require that you take a look at the app and understand kind of when and where things are happening on board. Now, let's talk about one of the biggest differences between Disney and Royal Caribbean ships, and that is Disney does not have a casino. I don't think everyone realizes that. Royal Caribbean is known for having casinos on board. They have always had casinos at sea, and while they have gotten smaller over the years as the ships have gotten larger, they still have a very big presence on a Royal Caribbean ship. So if you love to gamble and you want to enjoy a casino opportunity and try to win your hand at maybe some perks on board, then Royal Caribbean will have a spot for you to do all of that. Disney does not have the gambling option on their ships. The other big difference is going to be in what is included in terms of drinks. On Disney Cruise Line, all of your soft drinks are also included in your cruise fare. So you don't have to pay for any beverage packages. The price that you pay up front is the price that's going to include all of your drinks. This is what makes Disney feel truly all-inclusive versus Royal Caribbean, where you can get basic coffee, you can get basic water and tea, but any soft drinks and added beverages, even if they're non-alcoholic, will be an added cost. So a lot of people will choose to pre-purchase a basic drink package on Royal Caribbean, which will be a set rate per person in your party for the duration of your sailing. And if you're choosing an alcohol beverage package, you can imagine that would be a greater cost, again, per person, per day, per length of your sailing. Disney does offer alcohol on board. It is a purchase as you go system, and there are no drink packages to purchase. So what you will see is a bit of a difference sometimes in the people that are on board and what they're going for. If you are really in for the casino experience and you're really in for that drink package to like drink and get the most out of all of that, you're gonna have that energy on Royal Caribbean. You're not gonna have that on Disney. So keep in mind what's most important to you and the people in your group. That may make a big difference in which cruise ship you're going to choose for your family sailing. All right, talked about what's included in terms of drinks. Let's talk about what's included overall. One of the biggest complaints we hear from people who are going on cruises, I thought it was all included. I thought everything was all included. There really is no one cruise that's going to have everything included for you in the base price. You can add on experiences, excursions, port adventures, drink packages for Royal, signature dining for different places. You can add those on at any point before you're sailing, but just know that in your base cost, you're basically getting your stateroom, you're getting the entertainment that's included, you're getting the main dining options that are included. For Disney, it's going to be all of your dining with the exception of the 2 signature options. For Royal Caribbean, it's going to be your main dining and buffets. It's not going to be your signature restaurants. You'll be adding those on as you go. and it will include all of your entertainment. Also, when you go to your private islands, whether it's Perfect Day at Coco Cay with Royal Caribbean or Castaway Cay and Lookout Cay at Lighthouse Point, those are going to be locations where whatever is included for you on the ship will be included for you on the island. So if you're going to Castaway Cay, your lunches will be included, your soft drinks, refill stations, all of that's going to be there. And if you're at Perfect Day at Coco Cay and you've decided to purchase an alcohol package for your ship, you'll also be able to get that alcohol when you're on the private island as well. So those packages that you purchase will carry over to your private island experiences. Now, if you dock in a public port, then again, those are all going to be add-on costs, things that you do on your own that are not included in your base cruise fare. All right, private islands. Both Royal Caribbean and Disney do this very well. They're, again, beautiful islands that are well maintained, well cared for, and they're going to represent a lot of what you get on the ships. Disney is going to be themed to Disney. There's going to be things like a 5K that you can run, walk, or bike. There's tons of activities for water activities. There are beach cabanas. There's a lot that you can do. There's even a kids club on the island. At Royal Caribbean, you're going to have adults only spaces. You're going to have the same kind of cabana set up, but again, there's going to be some for adults only, some for families, and there's going to be a ton of water activities, a lot of thrill activities, like Thrill Water Park is there. So if you're looking for the thrills, Royal Caribbean is still going to deliver on that in the private island in a really specific way. And if you're looking for more of a relaxed family vibe, you're going to get that more on the Disney islands as well. All right, so how do you know what's right for you? What is my take on this? Having sailed both on Utopia of the Seas with Royal Caribbean and Disney Wish on Disney Cruise Line, I will say if you have young kids in your family, I would say anyone from like 14 and under, Disney is going to deliver an amazing experience for you. And I think you're really going to enjoy the different offerings at the different ages that are offered for adults, grandparents, all the way down to the youngest kids in your group. The kids clubs are very well maintained, and I would say they are very safe. And the standards for which they require their counselors to go through to work in the kids club are higher than any other cruise line. So if you are going to leave your kids in a kids club, highly recommend Disney. The standards, the expectations, the background checks, all the things that they're doing are at a higher level than what you're going to get on any other cruise line. And so for me, young kids, cruising, Disney's got it, in my opinion. If you are a thrill-seeking family, maybe you have older kids who are really into sports, really into the adventurous activities, or you're someone who really loves to enjoy a drink package and use the casino and explore some of those different offerings, then Royal Caribbean is going to be your place to go. I say this because I think it's important to note that it also changes the vibe and energy of the cruise. If you're looking for a cruise that is going to give you max relaxation, quieter cruise, less crowds, less bumping music noise for the parties that happen throughout the sailing, then Disney's going to be the one for you. I was shocked at how much quieter my Disney cruise was than my Royal Caribbean cruise, simply because we didn't have 7,000 people on board, and there are so many party spaces and bars and lounges on a Royal Caribbean ship to kind of spread out and accommodate for everyone using those drink packages, that no matter where you were going, at some given point, there was some sort of like DJ bumping music the whole time. So if you're looking for adventure and high activity and a lot to do, Royal Caribbean is going to be your choice. And if you're looking for a more relaxed cruise where it's quieter, calmer, and gives you that nostalgic family time, then I would say Disney is going to be your cruise. I would love to hear what you think. If you've sailed on either Royal Caribbean or Disney, let me know in the comments. What's your take on which cruise was best for you? And please be sure to like and subscribe for more content. I hope this was helpful as you decide what is the next cruise that you want to take as a family. Thanks so much for watching.